Hey everyone, it's Sarah again from your Spirit of Saturday, and Elena is still kind of a bit busy, and so I'm going solo again. Hopefully she'll be back next week. And yeah, so welcome to your Spirit of Saturday, and today's topic is the one that was brought to our attention by Crossing Over 96. So Crossing Over 096. And it's about social isolation, and I think it is so key that this gets addressed at some point. One of the things that our eating disorder does, eventually, is isolate us so that we have nothing left in our life, basically. A lot of people will ask me, I can't gain weight. I just can't gain weight. I can't eat. I can't do what they want me to, like they being the treatment team. That way, I just can't do it. And depending on the circumstances, I often say, okay, you know what, don't worry about it. Don't worry about the symptoms. Just stay connected. Stay connected is basically some of the best advice that I've ever received myself and that I ever have for anybody. Is if you're going to relapse, just stay connected, stay involved with people, because the minute you lose that connection, you lose way more than just the connection. You lose your purpose, you lose your social network, you lose your support, you lose so much, and you can't afford to lose that. You can kind of afford to lose weight, but you just can't afford to lose that network. One of the rules that I have for myself is that, at this point right now, that I can have an eating disorder because I'm working on it, but my eating disorder doesn't interfere with my social situations, and I do my very, very best to make sure that it doesn't. And yeah, it's hard, but if someone goes and buys fries for some friends and I better eat those fries, because my eating disorder is not the one out for the night. I am. So my eating disorder can invade every single part of my life, but not my social life. And the more that I hold on to that, and the more that I stay connected with people around me, the more I have something that I'm interested in, the more I have relationships I know I will keep intact, just the better I'll be when I finally decide, or when circumstances finally decide that everything's going to come together and I'm going to kick this. Yeah, so if you're relapsing and that's something you're thinking about, above all, yeah, don't slip back into symptoms if you can, but above all, don't give up the relationships you forged in recovery, because you can't afford to give them up. If you're already in a position where you don't have any relationships anymore, because that does happen, and it's happened to me only once, reconnect with people. Do your very, very best. A lot of times it's very, very anxiety-provoking to be around people, and I get that feeling. So just sort of go out at first and watch people do it. People, one of my favorite hobbies is actually people watching. And people look at me like I'm absolutely mad. I'm so serious. I love to watch people. I found it very beneficial because I know how people behave in certain situations. I watch people eat, not stare at them while they're eating everything, but I watch sort of their interaction, their body language, their behavior, and that's not creepy. If they're in a public setting, they're expecting that someone is watching them. Maybe not 24/7, maybe not so intensely that they're aware of it, but they're okay with that, and just sort of watch and figure out how normal people do it and mimic it. I'm so serious. This is where the fake it till you make it thing totally comes into play 100%. It's going to feel so bad when you try to do it, and it's going to feel so bad when you try, to convince yourself you're doing it, but you do. You fake it till you make it, and you try and fool everybody, and one day you'll have everybody fooled, and eventually you'll have yourself fooled, and that's when you're really in recovery. As for the nitty-gritty, how do I do it kind of thing, it is one thing that truly does get easier. It is one thing that truly does get easier with practice. A lot of people say that, weight gain gets easier with practice. I've never really found that. A lot of people say, eating certain foods gets better with practice. I could beg to differ in some circumstances. But this is one thing that really does. The more social you are, the more you try, the better. Because you're eventually going to get used to it. And eventually that anxiety is going to dissipate. Remember that anxiety is your friend. Anxiety is telling you that something is wrong. Something is just wrong, and you need to do something about it. But because you and your eating disorder are at this point so intertwined and so connected, it also serves your eating disorder. And what your anxiety around social people and around social situations and people, your anxiety is trying to tell your eating disorder that, I'm threatened. I'm threatened because there are people that are going to make me want to eat. There are people who are going to care about me. There are people who are interested in me. And your eating disorder absolutely cannot allow that. Otherwise, it loses power. Yes, that's why we definitely stay connected. Once you have those relationships, don't let them go for anything. If you have to, lose weight. If you have to, regress back into symptoms. But don't let go of the relationships you've forged, because you can't afford to do that. They're really hard to get back. Not impossible, but they are hard to get back. If you're just starting, decide that one weekend today you're going to go out and you're going to have coffee. Okay? Let your eating disorder choose what you put in that coffee just for that one weekend. But you're going to go out there and you're going to sit there and drink your cup of coffee. You get to watch, you get to think, you get to sort of be aware of what's going on around you. And then next weekend, you do it again, but you do it twice instead. And eventually it does get easier. I promise that's probably the only thing that does get easier. In terms of friends, I know that I went back to a lot of friends about 5 years later, and I'm like, sorry, I was very sick. And they got it. They understood. But if I were to do that over and over and over again, they wouldn't understand. They don't need explanations. A lot of people don't need explanations. But they need to know that something's changed. And a lot of times, the way that they know that